Yes, social media can be incredibly important for actors to become involved with for several reasons, but not without its downsides. Find out how and why on this episode of Casting Actors Cast.
It's time for another episode of Casting Actors Cast, insights for actors from a casting director. Here he is, your host, Jeffrey Dreispach.
Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of Casting Actors Cast. Welcome. I'm really glad that you're here and I'm looking forward to today's subject. But first, this is that moment of the podcast where I simply get to say thank you for tuning into Casting Actors Cast. We got some new theme music and an announcement. Pretty shortly now, I am going to be on the Broadway Podcast Network. It's very, very exciting that I've made this agreement, and I will be posting on this incredibly awesome new website. So I look forward to having you visit the Broadway Podcast Network. If you haven't checked it out, there's all kinds of great programming there. Additionally, I wanted to tell you that it's really been exciting to see how the Creative Coaching Partners classes have been going. And I'm teaching a class that you're welcome to check out. Simply go to my website, Casting Actors Cast, all one word.com. You'll say, gosh, I've got all these acronyms now going on in my head. You'll see Creative Coaching Partners. And when you click on that, you're going to see the course that's available for you if you're interested. Also on the website, if you fill in the form that says dive into the talent pool, it's going to do some fun things for you. One is open up a freebie, a book on doing voiceover work called Conversation Pieces Out of the Studio, the voiceover workshop for professional actors. Additionally, there's a free exclusive video called Casting Secrets, What They Don't Tell You. So, oh my gosh, there's just a lot going on. And let's just jump into the subject. I get this question all the time by a lot of folks. When I go to college showcases, for example, or I do a workshop or teach a class, invariably somebody asks me about how social media can hurt or help the actor. And those pros and cons are really important to take a look at before you make a decision. Now, you might already be involved in social media, and that could be good, and it could be useful. But I'm going to point out some things that you might not have considered that are worthy of your time and consideration, because it could have a far-reaching impact beyond what you might be thinking. And so that's the subject for today. So let's talk about the pros, first of all the positive things that social media can do for you. And when I mention social media, I mean all of those socials, right? I mean Instagram and, do I have to list them all? Here's the way to do this, I think. Anything that has your profile in it is social media, right? So whether you're doing the X or whether you're doing Facebook or LinkedIn, all of I said Instagram, TikTok, all of those, LinkedIn, all of those have places where you put in some of your personal information. You open up an account and then you start posting things and you start following others. That's what I mean when I'm talking about social media. I'm not necessarily talking about your website, but some of the pros and cons might be valuable for a website as well. Now, I've done a lot of episodes on websites, so you might want to go back into the archives and see what are the, here's a good word, salient points. Gosh, now come on, that's the first time you heard that today. Salient points about having a website. So let's take a look at some of the pros. Visibility, first and foremost. You know what? I think that social media offers a platform for actors because it can showcase their work. They also can connect with reps, agents and managers and other people in the industry. It might be really useful. It simply helps you increase your visibility with the industry in general. It means that you are out there. You are being seen by others. Also, a pro, I think, is obviously self-promotion. Actors can promote their projects if you're in a showcase or you're in a production. Shouting out on social media is really a great way to promote yourself, whether it's a show, whether it's an event that you're doing or an appearance, something like that. You're actually getting a hold of and connecting to those who might be interested in bypassing technical channels, It also is useful because it's bypassing traditional media channels. Another reason, obviously, I know that dreaded word is networking. But think about this. Social media allows actors to be found by industry professionals, potentially leading to new opportunities and collaboration. So just by getting the word out. Now, let me just add something to that. I use social media with actors and this is kind of like the one major reason I think social media is valuable. If I need to find you quickly, if I have an actor in mind and I don't have your email address directly in front of me, or maybe there's just not a way to get a hold of you through other methods that I might have available, maybe you are not being represented with somebody right now. If I could just Google your name, for example, and up pops some social media, that's a really great way for me to send something out to you and say, hey, could you reach out back to me because I have an audition or I have a question or I want to know your availability. All of those things are really helpful, and social media can play a part in just simply being able to contact you. Moving on from there, and I want to be a little bit careful about this next one as a positive, but when I say fan engagement, that if you have a following, that actors like to interact with their fans. They can be thought of in just such a positive way by their fan base. It really can be a way to garner support for the projects. Now, the kind of hesitation that you're hearing in my voice is that as long as it's kept professional. If your website is strictly more personal in nature and not about you as a professional actor, I don't think that that's something that is going to be that helpful to you, quite frankly. It might be helpful in terms of getting those fans, but be really careful as you kind of put the word out. The way you filter the information, yes, it might help get some fans, but also know that it is being scrutinized by more than just a potential fan. Another positive, though, is personal branding. I think social media enables actors to shape their personal brand. It showcases your personality. It gives me some additional information about your interests and your values. It really does differentiate yourself in this competitive industry. So that's a really good reason why social media can be helpful. All right, now, the flip side of that coin are the cons, the reasons why there might be some issues by continuing to do your social media, or if you haven't started it yet, you might just think about some of these things before you jump in with both feet. The privacy concern, I think, is kind of the number one issue. See, actors may face privacy issue with the personal information that they're sharing, or it might become publicly scrutinized by the industry for inappropriate postings. Now, I know this horror story I'm about to tell you is absolutely true, but it gives you an example, I think, of why it is something that you might want to be a little bit careful with. We had found a wonderful actor to be in a television series that we were working on for ABC Family. And the actor did an excellent audition, and we wanted to hire the actor. And of course, in network television, when you hire an actor, that information about that actor goes through the legal department, because the network is not that interested in giving you and spending a lot of money on promoting you and your salary and all of the perks and positive things to be said about being an actor in a television series. But guess what? That actor had some inappropriate postings on their Facebook page. Nothing like crazy weird, but if you are underage and you have a picture of you with a beer in your hand, even something like that, that is potentially a red flag for the legal department at these networks. After all, there's a responsibility when you become an actor on a television series, and that responsibility is part of the professionalism you need to demonstrate. And having some inappropriate pictures that are, we can discuss drinking age and all that. I don't want to go in there, but you know what I'm saying? It really becomes important that you scrutinize your postings through that professional lens. All right, another con, I think, negative feedback. When you put some social media stuff out there, it does expose you to some criticism and some negative feedback, which really can affect your self-esteem and your mental well-being. Be prepared for some feedback or some information that might kind of hurt your feelings a little bit. And ask yourself, do you have a thick enough skin to be able to withstand some criticism? Because let me just tell you, there are a lot of anonymous postings and people out there with weird email addresses that just really enjoy saying negative stuff, really giving you a hard time. And it's kind of bizarre, but I also think that this is the age that we're living in. So I think just good old-fashioned common sense about what you're posting so that you can sort of mitigate some of those negative, weird postings that people send back to other people. Okay? I think that makes sense, right? Let's move on. Another con, and this is a big one, I think, is that it's very time-consuming. Managing your social media account can really take up a lot of time and take away from time that could be spent on auditions or rehearsals or other career-related stuff. It's really important that you structure what that social media time is for you. Please don't just get absorbed and sucked down that funnel that keeps the social media thing, in the forefront of your activities. Really valuable, I think, to structure the time that you use your social media in part of or as part of your professional approach to your entire structured acting career. All right, there's a few more cons I want to talk about. This is hard. Misrepresentation. I think that actors sometimes feel the pressure to maintain a specific kind of image on social media. And I think many times, frankly, that could lead to authenticity concerns and the risk of being misrepresented. So be really careful that you are showing your best true self in those environments. Your uniqueness is yours. And so don't try to filter it through some persona, because that does not necessarily leave the best first impression for people in the industry. I don't think I have to go on from there too much. You get the idea. And, I just want to go back a second talking about the amount of time, but the excessive use of social media can be distracting. It can be addictive. It can really, I've seen it affect productivity and the focus on your career goals, as I said. So that's really, I think, one of the chief components of the reason why social media is something that you need to take a look at. So I know there's a lot to think about. And while social media can be a really powerful tool for actors, I think it's important to approach it strategically and authentically. I think building a strong media presence takes time and effort and consistency, but guess what? It can ultimately help actors enhance their visibility. It can expand their network, and it really can advance their careers in the competitive world of show business. So what do you think? How much social media do you get involved in? I would love to have your feedback. You could simply write me an email if you like by going to castingactorscast@gmail.com. Also, please consider leaving me a like, a thumbs up, a review. It really would be great. And I look forward to seeing you on the Broadway Podcast Network on the see, I've got to get used to saying this stuff because there's a lot going on here on the podcast. I'm Jeffrey Dreisbach, and you've been listening and watching Casting Actors Cast. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining Casting Actors Cast. I'm Megan Grace Martinez.